Hi everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today's video is going to be primarily focusing on why I believe the biggest and one of the best alt seasons is yet to come in the cryptocurrency market. Now this is a thesis that many people have had for so long, and they are now giving up on the thesis of an altcoin season to finish out the cycle that we have seen play out over the past 2 or 3 years of a bull market. And if you go back over our past 3 or 4 YouTube videos, of course, if you are in the Patreon group, you will have seen a more frequent updates on the Bitcoin dominance and what we've been expecting down at these lows with that ABC correction back to the upside for Bitcoin dominance, hitting some very precise targets. So what I wanted to do, guys, is just drop it down to the lower time frame for some YouTube videos. It's been a while since we posted a YouTube video. Our last videos have primarily been focusing on watching out for some market manipulation and market maker behavior. Of course, what we got over the last week has been incredible. It's been something I've not seen in the cryptocurrency market before. And it's one of the reasons we primarily stay away from leverage. Yeah, crazy situation. Nothing more to be said about it other than the fact that it's a coordinated attack, in my opinion, by the very big players in the market for prices to crash and liquidations to happen for them to buy. That's as simple as I can see the situation. Just like COVID, just like anything else, any other liquidation event in the market, we've seen so many of these happen. But the biggest one yet in the cryptocurrency market is quite unbelievable what we saw. But of course, what we got, you'll recognize this from the Patreon group. Nice big pushback up in dominance, what was expecting. We saw the trend line break of the macro structure on the Bitcoin dominance from 2023 all the way to now. Nice big wick back to the upside. Even if we change it to the higher time frame on the monthly time frame, you can see exactly how the wick to candle body trend line comes to fruition with the wick retest to the upside, all the way from the lows, coming up for a nice wick to body retest. It's precision on precision right there. And before every other alt season that we've had in the cryptocurrency market, what we tend to get is short, sharp spikes in dominance before major falls. Here, back in 2017, we get the short, sharp spikes. I've discussed this before the major alt seasons commence. And the only reminiscent of what I can see here in Bitcoin dominance is kind of what we got during C19 2020, where the market dominance was dropping initially. Here we are. Initial market dominance drop, which is what we've already had. Then the crisis, whether you want to call it market manipulation, that induces a big spike up in dominance, or whether you want to call it a real crisis. These are our speculations that we can speculate on. In my opinion, a lot of things that happen in the world are to manipulate the markets and to make people make the wrong decisions at the exact wrong time. Now, there was a lot of leverage built up in the system back in 2020, wiped during COVID, and a lot of leverage built up in the system in 2025, wiped with whatever the hell we've just seen. I don't even know what to call it. It's quite ridiculous. So right now, guys, I can expect some kind of wick fill up on this Bitcoin dominance. The lower time frame targets are in on the Patreon, with maybe some kind of drop reminiscent to what we got during COVID, and potentially a short, sharp spike back to the upside for some kind of double top. Now, it's not something I've discussed yet, this kind of wave structure. I have been primarily discussing the ABC back to the upside trend line, wick to body trend line retest that we've already got. And now I see a lot of people in the market either thinking we have to drop from here, or we have to push up and make new highs in dominance. But what if, just what if we do something different here? What if we obliterate people's expectations and go in for a drop here on Bitcoin dominance with a test of these key regions and then go in for another short sharp spike, and maybe this is when we start to see the final rally in the Bitcoin cycle, because I don't believe the Bitcoin cycle is done. I'll say that once and for all. My targets have always been between 147 to 160,000 for Bitcoin, and I can see a potential recovery here for a lot of the altcoins. And then potentially as Bitcoin goes in for a final stretch of the market cycle. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take this long, guys. This is just a wave structure I'm looking for. Potentially as we see the Bitcoin market go in for that final cycle push, as everyone's expecting now the beginning of the bear market, we get some more market manipulation, some extravagant behavior from the market that nobody's expecting here, some recoveries in alts pushing Bitcoin, and then to hit our major higher time frame targets that we've had set out for so long. Like I say, if you are a Patreon member, if you've been in the group, you've been here since 2022, 2023 for the rise back up in dominance, targeting our big breakdown level. We've had manipulation above that level with sharp spikes to the upside, manipulation below with the mass liquidation event coming in at the key area of the breakdown level, all the way back from March 2021 to April 2021. So you see how all of these key things are happening here at the key breakdown level from 2021. It makes sense for something to come into the market here, just like we got back here during C19. So a very reminiscent market structure to what we've got, a very reminiscent feeling to the liquidations that have happened, everyone thinking it's the end. But in reality, guys, I think right now, if we potentially start to see a push down in dominance, our targets are going to be 54 to 55% for a drop down in dominance. Maybe a rise back up, a wick fill first, and then a drop down in dominance to that 54 to 55% level. And as we see that market structure come to fruition, a little free wave there, maybe it's at that point where we start to see another free wave back to the upside. And again, I'm not saying it has to take this long, and people have been commenting on my Bitcoin dominance charts that I've been putting on X, saying that you cannot analyze Bitcoin dominance, but in my opinion, guys, you absolutely can, because the fact remains the same that we're watching rotation of capital happen in the market all of the time. This is all rotation of capital. It's one of the best charts that you can use, in my opinion, the Bitcoin dominance chart. We've already seen Bitcoin go for the full stretch, the run from 15,000 to 120,000, and we've seen it stall out, and we've seen the rotation of capital here go into Ethereum. And it's what happens every single cycle, and everyone seems to forget that that rotation into Ethereum has already happened. We've seen it outperform over the last couple of months, where it's risen from 1,300 all the way to a near $5,000 level, a massive increase in Ethereum. So for the market makers to pull the tricks that they've been pulling over the past couple of weeks, and for the big players to really impact the market the way they have with whatever tactics they like to use. We know the market's rigged. We know it's rigged against us. It's just understanding how it's rigged and trying to play the game as well as the market manipulators and the big players that do play the games. We know the news narratives that come out when Trump manipulates the markets, and we know that people behind the scenes in the big positions in the world also manipulate markets. They buy crypto and they buy their assets on dark pools. We never see the big moves that they make. So people are always looking for spikes in volume. But in reality, when you're looking for spikes in volume on a chart, if you really think it was that easy to spot the volume coming in, for the big players that are buying at the lowest levels, it would be too easy. These big players, they buy in places that we cannot buy on dark pools, in places that we do not even know exist, guys. So when you're looking for spikes in volume on the charts, quite often it's just another trick to manipulate people into a position that they don't want to be in. What I want to do, guys, is just take a look at Vchain as an example of a coin that is very reminiscent to Bitcoin of 2020 when the C19 crash happened. Now, all we've got here for Vchain is a massive impulse to the upside in 2021, and we've retraced a lot of that move. Let's take a look at how much that move has retraced now, all the way down. We're talking in and around the 90% regions. And every single little bit of liquidity here for Vchain has been taken, with not only that, a big bullish candle hit. There we go. It was the major retest level that we had from 2020 to 2021 that led on to the bull run of 2021. And if you remember, what is this situation, guys? All of this down here, it's March 2020, the big dump, the rise back up in dominance that we had during C19, very reminiscent to what we've got on the Bitcoin dominance chart right now. So what I think we've seen recently on a lot of altcoins is reminiscent of this move right here, where all of the lows get broken and you get a slight recovery and then no real chance to enter back into the market. So what I could see happening here, guys, now that is a monthly time frame. We don't get all of the detail of what's gone on in the situation at that moment from that monthly candle, but we get a good idea of the reminiscent of what happened in the Bitcoin dominance, the liquidation events. And this liquidation event is the biggest liquidation event in the cryptocurrency market. It's the biggest one we've ever seen. And every single one of those liquidation events that we've seen marks bottoms. So historically, we just need to use the evidence and what we see on the charts for us to say, you know what, it's likely the bottom, and it's likely that we do not revisit that level, because everybody's now looking for wick fills on the lower time frame, which I do think will come, but not so much that everybody's expecting. I think some kind of 30 to 35% of the weekly wick that is left on a lot of these alts will come to fruition. So for example, if you've got an altcoin that looks like this, we're kind of looking at the 38 to 50% level to maybe get a wick fill in the next coming weeks. So for something like Vchain, we're talking about the 0.015, 0.017 level for the market to continuously spike into, almost akin to the others chart that I shared earlier on the Patreon and on Twitter. So I believe the market will continue spiking down into these levels, but I think the market is ready for a big alt season to come. So I'll just take a look at the others chart, guys, just to show you exactly what I've been showing everybody on the lower time frame recently in the group and on Twitter as what I believe is going to happen. I believe we're going to get a little sharp move back up in the others chart for a potential spike down into that 230 billion region, for us to then go for a slow grind out of here, heading on into the 800 to $1 trillion regions. So guys, I'm very bullish right now after what we've just seen. A lot of people are very scared. In my opinion, the time to use leverage is in and around these regions where we get them retests and then 30 to 50% wick fills. As everybody is saying, leverage is way too risky. People have been wiped out. It's the biggest liquidation event we've seen. A lot of people have lost a lot of money in the market. It's why we don't use leverage, but when we do, we use it in situations where the market has already attacked. You cannot be using leverage in situations where the market is in a medium zone, in the middle of a range where we don't know where the market's going to go, because it will attack, and once the market has attacked, then you can begin to make your move. It's almost like a battleground where we have to decide what to do, but we are at an advantage. We don't have to constantly be making decisions, guys. If you're a spot holder and you play the cycle like we have with Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, HBAR, pulling out 40-50% of the profits as we get them big rises, and sitting back and relaxing and letting the market do the work with a couple of leverage trades that are not going to wipe you out. Again, that's why you should always be separating your leverage bags and spot bags in crypto. I know a lot of people have been wiped out in the past few weeks because of this. They likely will recover if they're big traders. If you've done it once, you will likely recover it all back again, and just use it as a lesson to not be over leveraged with cross collateral or whatever people are using now to leverage in the system. It's a leverage wipeout. We've seen a wipeout. people don't have the money to buy back, and people have missed out on a couple of big opportunities. So in my opinion, we are ready. We are ready for the biggest alt season that we've seen, and potentially the last alt season we will ever get, in my opinion. I really do anticipate this chart to look something like that over the next coming months. And I know that sounds crazy to say, guys, but all you need to do is go back and look at my videos that I was making when Bitcoin was 15,000, talking about the moves above 100,000, saying how crazy it sounds. Saying how crazy it sounds when Ethereum was 1,300, talking about them $5,000 levels. And I know it looks crazy, it sounds crazy, and it doesn't seem believable after what we've just seen. But trust me, in situations like this, guys, in cryptocurrency, anything is possible. And I really do anticipate that 3.272 of this big corrective wave to be hit for some kind of 1, 2, 3, or even an ABC. It doesn't matter what we call the wave, guys. In my opinion, that is the bottom of the others market. We're not going below that. And I'll put my neck on the line and say that I think that that is the bottom, and we are heading towards $800 to $1 trillion region for others, which is a massive increase from current levels. That's even about 300%, which would have us seeing about 300, 400, 500% moves on a lot of Dino coins that people say are dead now. Vchain, Kev, CVX, HBAR. Oh, maybe HBAR's a bit too high. I won't be buying HBAR, but all of these coins, we're looking, they're primed, they're absolutely primed after what we've just seen. So don't give up hope, guys. A lot of people are going to quit the market at this point. And I've seen many situations where people have quit the market before major life-changing opportunities. People quit the market down here in March 2020. People quit the market here down in June, July, August of 2023. And people once again are going to quit the market here. Despite whatever we get in and around this region, I think that's the bottom. And I think we're heading up for the altcoins. So don't give up hope, guys. Of course, it's not financial advice. This is a reminder to the audience of the cryptocurrency market. You can make it back. You absolutely can, with a plan. Just sit back, relax, let the market do the work. Follow your own analysis and follow your gut in this situation. I believe it's the bottom, so I'm coming on here and saying that that is the bottom of the altcoin market. Sit back, relax, guys, let the market do the work. Take it easy, and I'll see you next time.